Hey guys, how's it going? So, today I am going to play a bit of Hearthstone Constructed for maybe like an hour or so. And I am going to play with my priest deck, Dragon Priest deck. Now, I've done I think 1 or 2 videos on this same deck previously. So it is just basically going to be exactly the same deck as what I used in the previous videos. So we go up against a mage, and I think we throw away those 2 and we keep the dragon. So I have played around a little bit with different variations of the Dragon Priest since my previous video that I did, by doing stuff like adding Ysera or adding Nefarian, just basically any big dragons that give a lot of value. But to be honest, the deck already has an extremely large amount of value, so it's really not at all necessary, in my opinion, to get any big dragons that give you a lot of value, like Ysera or Nefarian. Obviously, wow, that's a very liberal use of Frostbolt. So, like, obviously, if Ysera gets onto the board and your opponent doesn't have a way to deal with it, like Hex or Polymorph or Meteor, anything like that, then your opponent is going to have a bad time, because you just constantly each turn get a lot of value through the card generation from Ysera. But to be honest, this deck has so much card generation in the form of the 2 Drakonid Operatives, the 2 Nether Spite Historians, and the 2 bonuses that you get from Brann Bronzebeard, that you really don't need any additional value. Really, the deck already has a shitload of value, and putting in something like Ysera or Nefarian, anything like that, really will just push the deck a little bit too far into being a late game deck, because you don't want the deck to be too late game. So honestly, I think the deck currently is extremely balanced. There's just about nothing that can outvalue Dragon Priest. The only thing that I can really think of is like Jade Druid. Obviously Jade Druid, if they reach the late game, like the very late game, then you're going to have a bad time, because they're just going to constantly generate Jade Golems, and you can't really do much about that. But fortunately, this deck is against most Jade Druid lineups. They can pretty much run the Jade Druid into the ground with value before that, since with Jade Druid, obviously, you just basically want to rush your opponent down as quickly as possible. So yeah, that is why basically just against Jade Druid you would benefit from having Ysera or anything like that, but that is why I haven't included Ysera in the deck. But I have tried it, I have included her in the deck previously, I just haven't done a video about it or anything like that. So we are very close to beating this mage into the ground so far. I think we will just protect ourselves against AoE a little bit. So we will do that, and we will do that, and then we will play the Nether Spite Historian, and we get a Drakonid Operative, and our opponent concedes. So pretty much against a secret mage, like the Open the Way Gate secret mage, you just need to rush them down before they can get their card, the card that gives them a free turn, because there's a lot of different variations of that deck. There's one where as soon as you have your quest thing completed, then you play 2 Sorcerer's Apprentices, then you play is it Mirror Entity? No. It's the one that gives you a clone of whatever is on the field. I can't remember, but I will put it on the screen for you. So you play that card, then you play your 2 Sorcerer's Apprentices again, and then you just rape your opponent's face with a bunch of spells. Since your spells, you can just keep on doing that combo the whole time with getting free spells, essentially. So you just basically need to rush your opponent down before they are able to do that. So that is why in this game I didn't play the Drakonid Operative, since that's a little bit slower than the other cards that I played, like the Kabbalist and the Blackwing Technician. Each turn is 6 damage, whereas the Drakonid Operative would have only been 5 damage, and that little stuff like that allows you to rush your opponent down quicker than what you would normally do if you played with full value and played all of your full value cards like the Drakonid Operative and stuff like that. And basically you just need to know how to play against your opponent. Basically you would play exactly the same as how I played against this guy. You would play the same against Jade Druid. You will just try to play your strongest cards, not necessarily the cards that give you the most value, just the strongest cards out onto the field to rush your opponent down quickly. And against a Jade Druid it's even easier, since they don't have board clears. They have like swipe, but they don't really have board clears. Mages do have board clears, obviously. They have fucking Blizzard and Flame Strike and everything under the sun, Meteor, all of that. So yeah, so that's pretty much a long explanation of why I still am running this deck's variation, the same variation as what I had previously. Like, I don't know, I maybe did a video on this deck like a month ago or so. And so that is why this deck is still the same as what it was back then. So I am going to play the Northshire, simply because if my opponent also plays a Northshire, then I can just Shadow Word Pain it. And if he plays something other than a Northshire, then I can just hit it and heal my own Northshire, and he won't get a benefit from it then. And it also stops him from healing any of his guys, since as long as I have the Northshire on the field, obviously I will benefit constantly from having the Northshire.
Are you my master?
Okay, so that's pretty good. We are going up against a Cthulhu Priest, and I will choose to take my value here, my one little card, since he can't really do anything about it. And we will also play the Twilight Whelp, just to give our Northshire a little bit of help in dealing with this guy. And also in the next turn I can do the Kabbalist, the Cabal Talon Priest on top of my Twilight Whelp, which will just give me a little bit of a more board presence, because the Cabal Talon Priest on top of the Northshire Cleric will be extremely weak, so we don't want to do that. So here we will run both of these in there and Shadow Word Pain that guy, I think. Alternatively, I could run both of these in there, play Northshire Cleric and heal my own guy. That way I will get 2 cards, but he can then, with this guy, kill this guy or this guy in the next turn. So we don't really want to do that. So rather I will play the Shadow Word Pain on there, run both of these in there, and then play my second Northshire Cleric. The only way how I could get basically destroyed by doing this is if he has, I think, Shadow Word Horror, which kills everything on the board that has less than 2 attack. That's basically the only way how I could really get destroyed. Otherwise than that, there's really no way for him to punish me at all. So here, obviously, I can attack and then heal my own guy, but that leaves me with an extremely weak board. So rather what I'm going to do is I'm going to play my Twilight Guardian, and I'm going to run that guy in there, and I'm just going to bank on the chance that he won't kill either of these, and then I can either Holy Nova next turn in order to draw 4 cards, or I can just heal my own guy to draw 2 cards. But as we see, he chose to use his Holy Nova in order to kill my 2 Northshire clerics. So everything considered, that is actually a pretty weak Holy Nova, since it just dealt with 2 1-cost minions. So that is pretty weak. And this guy is running a very strange deck, to be honest. Earthen Ring Farseer, Dark Iron Dwarf, and Circle of Healing. That's really quite strange. And Frost Elemental. Okay, so this guy clearly isn't running a, I could almost say a pro deck. He's definitely not running a pro deck. So since he is running quite a few, how can I say, suboptimal cards. So unfortunately for this guy, I am quite a bit favored, severely favored almost, simply because he doesn't have a very good optimized deck. But we should remember that he does have Cthulhu, so we should just remember that we do not want to get destroyed by Cthulhu. And that was obviously a mistake. So he probably thought that he could heal his own guy there. Unfortunately for this guy, it seems that he's not really an extremely experienced player, which is understandable. I mean, it's a low rank. I'm playing at a low rank since it's pretty close to the beginning of the month at the moment, but I mean, you very often find a lot of extremely good decks at the beginning of the month also. I mean, all of the pro players, but he does have, oh no, he doesn't have Yesera. All of the pro players also have to climb up from the beginning of the month, so it's just unfortunate for him that we ran into, or that he ran into a player who has a very good deck. So there's pretty much not anything that he can do right now to come back from this. One thing that he can do is Light Bomb. Light Bomb will absolutely destroy me, and Dragonfire Potion will kill those 3 guys, but it won't kill these 2 guys. So pretty much Light Bomb is the only way for this guy to win from here on out, unless he has another Ochonai Soul Priest and Circle of Healing. But as we see, unfortunately for him, he realized that there's no way for him to come back from this unless he had the Light Bomb, obviously. So yeah, quite unfortunate for that guy that he ran into me with my very good deck.
Tyrande versus Gul'dan. Your soul shall be mine.
Elune, give me strength.
Okay, we go up against a Warlock. Now, against a Warlock it is a little bit tricky, to be honest, because you have to play very, very differently against a Rush Warlock than what you would play against a Hand Warlock, like a Value Warlock, or even a what is it again? Arena Warlock. So We will see by turn 2. Okay, so this is probably a hand warlock. To be honest, I would have wanted it to be a rush warlock, rather. A rush warlock or a zoo warlock. Simply because this deck deals more effectively against a rush warlock or a zoo warlock. Hand warlock or arena warlock, on the other hand, is going to be a little bit more difficult to deal with. But having said that, he just played an extremely weird card, which I would not have expected to be in either a arena warlock or a hand warlock. So we will see what kind of a deck this guy is. Perhaps he just has a cobbled together deck, the same as the previous guy had.
Why do you call?
Okay, so he's running a few strange cards. So we get the Power Word Shield to deal with that very efficiently. And then we can grab a Twilight Drake, which will probably be the best. And we already have a very, very commanding lead by turn 4. The only way how he could throw a spanner into the works now and perhaps gain back the board is if he played a giant, or if he played a Twilight Drake with a lot of HP. But actually, quite a surprise, he is running a Renounce Darkness deck, which is really quite a surprise. I honestly haven't played against a Renounce Darkness deck in, I would honestly say, like a year, at least a year, that I haven't seen a Renounce Darkness deck. So this is quite a surprise. You really don't see Renounce Darkness very often. It's extremely rare that you see people. But that is one of the fun things about decks at low rank. You see quite a few more inventive decks than what you would have ever seen at the higher ranks. So I could do a Holy Nova here in order to draw 4 cards, but I don't know. Let's see. I could do that, or I could just do the Bookworm. I actually think the Holy Nova will be pretty good. I actually think that will be pretty good to take the opportunity to draw 4 cards. So let's go ahead and do that and run that in there. And with 4 cards, my opponent is probably going to have a hard time keeping up, since against a Warlock, the only benefit that the Warlock has is that they always have more cards than you. But if you are able to reach that point where you have more cards than them, then they are in for a very difficult time, a very hard time. Let's see, do we have lethal? Yes, we indeed do. So, unfortunately for this guy, he just got overwhelmed by my early game control of the board. But I have to commend him for playing a Renounce Darkness deck. That's a really fun deck. It's not a really good deck or a very competitive deck, but it is certainly a very fun deck. I have to admit that.
Tranda versus Jaina.
You asked for it. The moon give me strength.
And we go up against another mage. We will throw those 2 away and hopefully get a dragon or any early game cards like Blackwing Technician is extremely good, and Wormrest Agent is also extremely good in the opening hand. So we get a Twilight Whelp turn 1, that's pretty good, especially since we still have another Twilight Whelp to activate our Netherspite Historian. So since he did not play anything, we will play the Netherspite Historian and grab the Drakonid Operative. The Drakonid Operative is extremely good if you can get that, because it allows you to get a free card, and then when you play that, another free card. So it's really quite good. And due to the fact that he played that, we would normally assume that he is a secret mage, meaning the warp portal, open the portal mage. But since he did not play the secret on the first turn, I actually doubt that he is open the Waygate mage. Maybe he threw away his secret for some reason, I don't know. Some people choose to do that.
Who knows what secrets will uncover?
Okay, so maybe he's a battle cry mage? I don't know. So, since we have an efficient way to deal with this, I am not going to Shadow Word Pain it. Normally, if I just had like these two guys on the field, I would Shadow Word Pain it, but I want to keep the Shadow Word Pain for something perhaps a little bit stronger, because I already have a way to deal with this efficiently. So, I'm going to Shadow Word, Power Word Shield that guy and see what we get. Okay, then we run these two in there and heal that guy. So that way we deal with what he threw out, but we still have the Shadow Word Pain in case he throws out something like a Water Elemental. Water Elemental is a much better target for the Shadow Word Pain. Okay, it's a little bit strange that he attacked that one. So here I want to heal this guy, since if I heal this guy it will get out of range of a bunch of stuff like Flame Strike, but honestly I need to rush this guy down because on turn 4, even though he has 8 cards in his hand, he didn't play a single card, so that's extremely disconcerting. So I'm going to play the Drakonid Operative in order to get a little bit of a better idea of what kind of a deck we are facing. And we can see that he is possibly a Reno Mage, since none of the cards that appear here has already been played. So he's probably a Reno Mage, even though I wouldn't bank on that, I'm just assuming. So I think the Babbling Book will probably be the best, especially if we are able to draw Brann Bronzebeard pretty soon, because Brann Bronzebeard Babbling Book is obviously a very good combo. It's the same combo that he put into his deck. So we aren't really quite certain what deck we are going up against yet. There's still a large variation of decks that it could be. So next turn he has the coin and 6 mana, so that means next turn he could Flame Strike us. So normally if he couldn't Flame Strike us, then I would just play the Azure Drake, but since he could Flame Strike us, I am going to play the Drakonid Operative and the Babbling Book probably also. Okay, Dirty Rat. Dirty Rat, what can I do with that? It's either between Dirty Rat or Acolyte of Pain. Honestly, I am going to draw enough cards with Northshire Cleric, so I guess Dirty Rat is the best option. I honestly don't like Dirty Rat. I don't think it's a good card, but recently a lot of people have been putting Dirty Rat into their decks. Honestly, if you Dirty Rat any of my cards, it really doesn't affect me. The worst card that could be Dirty Ratted from this deck is Brann Bronzebeard. So it's not as if losing Brann Bronzebeard, for fuck's sakes, will like change the game or anything like this. My deck can still do extremely well even if Brann Bronzebeard is pulled out. So here we can just heal this guy and hit that guy in there and hit the rest into the face, or we can do a Blackwing Corruptor on that guy and then run everything into the face and heal that guy also, which will put him at 5 HP, which will be pretty good. Unfortunately, my board will be extremely susceptible to AoE, but I don't think this guy has AoE, since he just dropped his hand from 8 cards down to 5 cards. So I think he was just basically holding out all of those cards to burn my face with it, like Ice Lance, Frostbolt and Fireball. So I think I'm going to do the Blackwing Corruptor on that guy, run the rest of them into the face, and then heal this guy. That way I have lethal next turn if he does not deal with at least this guy. Since if he does deal with this guy, then I only have a total of 7 damage remaining. And as we said, or as I said, he may be keeping the Flame Strike. That's why I didn't play the Azure Drake or the Blackwing Corruptor in the previous turn, because I was afraid he would use the Coin and Flame Strike, and indeed that is definitely what he would have done. That is why I played the Drakonid Operative instead of those cards. So at least to some extent by doing that we played around the Flame Strike which he had. So that is actually pretty good. I'm happy about that. So we will Shadow Word or Power Word shield that guy in order to keep him out of range of more AoE, even though it puts him into a good range for Fireball. I don't think he has another Fireball, perhaps because this may be a Reno deck, since he hasn't played any, what do you call it, any duplicates so far, and unfortunately for him that is death for him. So let's see what he has with the Dirty Rat. Hopefully I don't pull out a taunt. I just want to see, or actually I can just do that. I just want to see what else he has. Okay, so he probably does something like Manic Soulcaster onto a Medivh or onto a Brann Bronzebeard, and that just gives him a shitload of late game value and stuff like that. Or he could even do the Manic Soulcaster onto a Reno Jackson. That will give him a huge amount of value, especially late game against any face rush decks or anything like that. But I'm pretty certain that that was a Reno deck. It's certainly a little bit of a strange Reno deck. Like, normally I personally wouldn't include stuff like Manic Soulcaster into a Reno deck. I might include Shimmering Tempest, but I don't know, maybe he had like N'Zoth also in the deck, like N'Zoth and Shimmering Tempest and maybe Sylvanas, anything like that. So yeah, the benefits of a Reno deck is that you can throw pretty much anything that you want into a Reno deck and it will be a pretty good deck in the end. But I don't know, unfortunately for that guy, he didn't even manage to hit my face a single time, just because I was able to control the board so efficiently. And that is what this deck does best. It controls the board like nothing else. It really controls the board, and basically the only way how you can lose is by getting burned down, like getting your face burned down by a Cthulhu combo druid, or by Ice Mage, a Freeze Mage, or by perhaps getting obliterated by a Warlock using Twisting Nether. Twisting Nether is extremely good against you, obviously, if you have a board filled of stuff. So yeah, those are pretty much the only ways how you can lose if you constantly control the board, to be honest. Never Spite Historian. Unfortunately, I don't have a dragon. I think I need to throw away the Nether Spite Historian, because if I just throw away the death and I don't get a dragon, then I am going to have a very bad time. Whereas if I throw away the Nether Spite Historian and the death, then I have a much higher chance of getting a dragon. So, okay, double Northshard Cleric, that's pretty good. Hopefully he doesn't have like a Soulfire or anything crazy like that to deal with my guy, because I should be able to just throw out the Wormrest Agent next turn and get my guy behind a taunt, but as we see, unfortunately we can't do anything about that. He threw out a Doomsayer, so he will now have the advantage, but honestly he just basically gained 1 turn of leniency and he destroyed my Northshire Cleric. So overall it's really quite a weak Doomsayer, everything considered. I would normally throw out the Northshire Cleric here, but since it is my last Northshire Cleric and I only have 4 cards in my hand, I am really going to have to use it to gain more cards. Since if I don't, then I'm going to fall behind quite a bit. So I am going to keep it in order to use it to get a few more cards into my hand. So we do that, we do that, and we do that, and we will not throw out the Twilight Whelp. I don't think. It really depends if I think the opponent is a Rush Warlock or not. And I don't think he's a Rush Warlock. The Rush Warlocks don't run Doomsayer, so I am fine with leaving the board like that. And by keeping the Northshire Cleric in my hand 1 turn, I got a guaranteed card draw from it, at least. So that is pretty good. And he used the Hellfire in order to kill his own guy and only kill a 1-cost minion and a 2-cost minion of mine. So he spent 4 mana in order to get rid of my 3 mana of cards, and he killed 1 of his own mana of cards. So he essentially paid 5 mana in order to kill 3 mana of my cards. So that's really quite a weak Hellfire. So I am actually quite happy with how this is going so far. I'm almost 100% certain that he is a Arena Warlock, so we aren't really looking to rush him down or anything like that. We pretty much just want to control the board and hopefully, as I said, not get destroyed by Twisting Nether, since getting destroyed by Twisting Nether is not fun at all. It's a little bit strange that he would throw that out. That's really quite strange. So we will obviously do that and that. That's basically the only options that we had there. I don't know if he thought I might be an idiot and just run my dragon into his face. That's what the idiot would do, because honestly you can get destroyed if you leave Brann Bronzebeard on the field. You never leave Brann Bronzebeard on the field. So here, Shadower Death, that changes things. Here, without Shadower Death, I would have considered playing the Defender of Argus on there, and then just running my Azure Drake in there. Or alternatively, I could have just played the Dragonfire Potion, but I want to keep the Dragonfire Potion for when he plays a bunch of stuff, or perhaps if he's a N'Zoth / Reno Warlock, then I want to keep it for when he plays N'Zoth, since this deck really doesn't have any other AoE. So now that I got the Shadower Death, I am pretty much definitely going to play the Shadower Death. So let's play that, and we get the Drakonid Operative. Absolutely, that's great. And we play the other Nether. Oh no, wait. Yes, no, we can play. No, wait. We have to consider if he is running Mind Control tech. And I think he might be running Mind Control tech. So we will choose to keep our guys below 4 so that he can't get Mind Control tech. And we will just basically bide our time by not playing too many things onto the field. Okay, that's a very powerful turn from him. He played a 8-16 worth of stats, so we are quite a bit behind right now. 8-16 worth of stats is a horrible amount of stats. So let's play that and see what we get. And I think Chromagus will be required for late game value, since this match might go very late into the late game. So we will hit that there, and we will heal this guy in order to perhaps play around something like Shadow Flame, even though he will obviously hit that guy in there and then Shadow Flame his own guy. But healing that guy plays around another Hellfire perhaps, whereas if I healed that guy, then it could have just done a single Hellfire and it would have wiped my entire board. So we are just basically playing around the most likely cards, and the most likely cards will be like small AoE. I don't think it will throw a Twisting Nether on a board like this. And indeed, as I said from the beginning, my suspicion that he is a Reno Warlock is indeed correct. So we just basically have to outvalue him. That's the only way how you can win against the Reno Warlock. You just have to outvalue him. And he used a 1 mana card to deal 1 damage, so that's pretty good. I don't have a problem with that. Normally, if that wasn't a dragon, then I would use Dragonfire Potion here, like almost definitely, but since that is a dragon, unfortunately I can't do that. So if I run all of my cards in there, then that guy will die, but that will leave me with a 4-1, so that's really not good at all. So I think I will kill everything and just leave the Twilight Drake alive for now. So we will do that by running that in there, running that in there, that in there, and that to the face. And that way we can once again keep our guys on the field below 4, so Mind Control Tech won't be able to hit us. And we also don't want to play so much into Twisting Nether, since he is going to play Twisting Nether eventually. So we don't want that to absolutely destroy us. Okay, so we used 3 mana to deal with my 8 mana guy. That's pretty efficient. And here, unfortunately, I am not in a very good position to deal with Sylvanas. Basically, the only way to deal with Sylvanas efficiently here is by playing Dragonfire Potion.
What is Elun's will?
Yeah, I don't really see any other alternative, to be honest. So we will play Dragonfire. It's a little bit of a difficult situation. I can't really play Drakonid Operative right now because he's just going to run his guy into my guy and then get my guy, so we don't want to do that. So I think just playing Dragonfire here is fine. There's really not a whole lot I can do about that, and then I will just heal myself a little bit. Unfortunately, trading Dragonfire Potion for Sylvanas isn't extremely good, but if you consider Sylvanas being 2 cards, since essentially it is a 5/5 on his side of the field, and then he can steal any of your cards, it's essentially 2 cards, so all things considered, it is actually a good trade in my opinion. So here I could do Brann Bronzebeard and Drakonid Operative, but I have to ask myself, is that enough tempo? Honestly, if I don't do that, then I'm going to fall behind. So I honestly have to do it. I don't really have much options. If I don't play anything right now, I'm just going to fall way behind. So honestly, I don't really have any other option. And Siphon Soul is really quite good. So at least now I saw that he has the combo. He runs the combo, which is usually Faceless Manipulator, Leroy Jenkins and then also Power Overwhelming. And that way he can do a total of 20 burst damage. So I need to make sure that I either have a taunt in the way or that I remain above at least 21 HP. So I just need to remind myself of that constantly. Okay, so that should be a relatively good target for Leroy, perhaps.
Trust me.
So I can do a Leroy and Holy Nova. Or I can just run that in there, and then play Siphon Soul. I guess playing Siphon Soul on that guy is not too bad. I don't think that's really all that bad, but playing the Holy Nova and Leroy Jenkins combo right now is pretty damn good since it heals both of my guys for 4 HP. So I think that will actually be the better option. Doing that and Holy Nova, and then I have the option of either running this one in there or running both of these in there. In my opinion, it will be better to have the 2 small guys on the field. So I will run the Leroy in there instead, since these 2 guys equal a total of 12 stats, whereas the Leroy only equals 8 stats. So honestly, I think that is a much better trade. And we still have a target for the Siphon Soul. So that's also actually pretty good. So we will throw the Siphon Soul on that guy. And we will throw the Shadow Word Bane on there. And the Wormrest Agent, I think, also will be pretty good. So currently we are a little bit behind in cards, but I think once I play both of my Drakonid Operatives and yeah, that's pretty much it. The only card draw that I have left is my Drakonid Operatives. So we will just basically hope that we can get something good from our Drakonid Operatives. Okay, Dirty Rat. That's not really extremely good, in my opinion. But it might be able to pull out his Lodger Axis or his, what do you call it, Reno Jackson. So that's certainly something to consider. So let's throw that on there, since he still have Siphon Soul, so we don't want to pump up this guy too much, so we will throw that on there. Twilight Guardian, I guess we can play the Twilight Guardian even though it's going to be a little bit rough, but honestly there's not a whole lot we can do about that. So yeah, attack that in there and play Twilight Guardian, I guess. Not really much we can do about it. The Mountain Giant is just going to eat my Twilight Guardian up, unfortunately. Okay, so there is the Siphon Soul I was talking about. That's why I didn't throw the Power Word Shield on him also. So honestly, it's looking rough. It's looking very rough. We currently are just hanging in there, but honestly I don't think we will be able to beat him with only 2 Dragonwing Technicians, 2 Cabal Talon Priests and 2 Dragonwing Corruptors. It's going to be difficult. Let's see. I am very afraid of him becoming Lord Jaraxxus. Basically, if he becomes Lord Jaraxxus, we lose 100%. So, okay. That's not extremely good. I was hoping that it would be something that I could play Shadow Word Pain on. So I pretty much have to play Shadow Word Pain on there. And I can't really do anything else. It's really quite a tough spot that we are in currently. Just run that in there, and that's basically all we can do. We just have to hope that we get something amazing from Drakonid Operative, perhaps. Okay, that's really not all that bad, since we didn't have a dragon to activate it with anyway. And here comes the Shadow Flame. Okay, so we don't have anything to activate our Drakonid Operative with at the moment, so it's looking extremely bad. Like, extremely bad. If he becomes Jaraxxus right now, I will just concede, since there's nothing I can do against Jaraxxus. Okay, Dragon Wing Corruptor is okay, I guess. And he has the combo, obviously, the what do you call it? Power Overwhelming. So yeah, unfortunately, as I said, it's a little bit difficult. I think the biggest thing that screwed me over this game was the fact that his Tar Creepers, the Tar Lurker is extremely good against a priest, since it's a 4/7 and you can't do shit against a 4/7. It's like incredibly powerful. So yeah, unfortunately for us, I think those two 4/7s that they had on the field just stopped all of the guys that we had, since we had to run like 3 guys into one, and then it just made a fucking copy of it. I mean, it's really quite crazy, but honestly we got very close to beating him, extremely close, closer than what it would look, because if I just had gotten the Drakonid Operative earlier, then I would have 2 extra cards in my hand, because obviously here at the end I only had 0 cards basically, since I couldn't play any of these. So even if I played both of those in the last turn, it wouldn't have mattered, because none of them are taunt. So if I just had gotten the Drakonid Operative earlier, I would have had so much more fuel in my hand. And if I could have gotten from the Drakonid Operative something like Shadow Flame or anything like that, then it would have severely changed the course of the game. But overall, as I said, I think the downfall was just those 2 huge guys that he threw out. The 2 Tar Lurkers that completely destroyed any momentum that I had.
Tyrande versus Maiev.
None can escape my fury. Alone give me strength.
Okay, and we go up against a rogue. Dragonfire Potion is extremely good in the late game if you are going up against a quest rogue, but if it's not a quest rogue, then Dragonfire Potion isn't so good. But I will just hope to get the Dragonfire Potion later on, since the Dragonfire Potion in the opening hand doesn't help you at all, so that's why I threw it away. So we will throw out the Northshire Cleric in order to contest any small guys that he might throw out if it is a quest rogue. And it is indeed a quest rogue, so the Northshire Cleric should be able to stop him from playing any guys on the field and keeping them there, since often the quest rogue's strategy relies on him throwing out the card, like let's say it's not Swashbuckler, it's that other pirate that adds one card to your hand. They play that on turn 1, and then on turn 2 they jump it back to their hand with Youthful Brewmaster or anything like that. So having a card out onto the field that can attack that guy just basically stops them from doing stuff like that. It basically forces them to play from the hand and then immediately return that card back to their hand, as he did just now. So he obviously couldn't keep that wisp on the field, since I would have just destroyed the wisp. Unfortunately for me, I am getting extremely unlucky on the draws. I didn't have anything to play in turn 2 or in turn 3, so it is an extremely bad opening against this rogue, unfortunately. So that will probably mean that he will be able to complete his quest very quickly, since I am giving him 0 resistance so far. Okay, that's really a quite weak vanish, to be honest.
Drink with me, friend.
I wield the power of Black. Ash to ash.
Okay, luckily I got the Dragonfire potion. That's extremely good for me. I'm really quite happy about that. So here I have a few options. I am almost definitely going to attack the face with my Blackwing Corruptor. But apart from that, I need to consider, do I need to throw up taunts or what? If I throw up a taunt, then with my other 2 mana I'm essentially not doing anything. So in my opinion, it will be best to throw the Drakonid Operative and then Power Word Shield my other guy. I think that will probably be the best. Cold Light Oracle will be beneficial in a way, since I could potentially make him burn a few cards, or I could maybe make him do something like burn the quest, although that's really not very easy, since you can only make people burn the quest if they are if they do it on their own. So you basically increase their cards to 10 unknowingly to them that they don't have extra space, and then they play whatever, and then they get the quest burned if they are at 10. But that's really not a how can I say, that's not a very likely situation. Okay, so he attacked my face for some reason. That is almost definitely a mistake on his part. So I will play that, and I will play that, and run both of these into the face. Now basically the only way how he can deal with this quote-unquote efficiently is by having another vanish. Let's see if he has another vanish. He might do a prep vanish now.
I
Okay, so what did that help you really? You're dead now. So I don't know why you did that. That's really quite strange, to be honest. So yeah, that was really just quite strange. I certainly don't know what cards he has in his hand, but that was not efficient at all, what he did there. So I think the obvious choice here is to play Dragonfire Potion. That unfortunately kills these two guys, but it kills 20 worth of his stats, so we just have to take solace in knowing that we are also decimating his hand. So we do that and that. Dragonfire Potion. And then just heal our own guy so that he can't rush it down with a single boar or anything like that.
I hope you like my invention.
Well played.
Okay, so as I said, the Dragonfire Potion is extremely good against the rogue in the late game, if you can make it to the late game. Often it happens that the rogue has the quest completed by turn 5, and then on turn 6 they throw double Stone Tusk Boar, double I think is it Blood Sail Pirate, or what's that other charging pirate, and then they just jump it back to their hands fucking constantly. And since both those cards cost 1 mana, they can play 4 of them and then jump them back to their hands, and they can do in excess of 30 burst damage with charging minions in a single turn. So I get the feeling that he wasn't the bursting or the charging type of deck. He didn't have it set up that way, since those decks that run double Swashbuckler or whatever and double Stone Tusk Boar usually don't run Wisp, and they usually don't run Firefly. So fortunately for me, he wasn't that type of guy. But also fortunately for me, I got the Dragonfire Potion I think 2 turns ago, which basically saved me, since I wouldn't probably have been able to deal with his 4 5/5s that he had on the field. He would have had to run 2 of those 5/5s into my 6/10 Dragonwing Corruptor that I had on the field. So it would have dealt with 2 of them, but with the other 2 I just probably wouldn't have been able to deal with it, even though I did draw Shadow Word Death in this turn just now. But honestly, this deck, Dragon Priest, is just really not set up correctly to deal with so many 5/5 minions. They can very efficiently deal with anything below 3 attack with the double Shadow Word Pain and the Bookworm and stuff like that. They can very efficiently deal with smaller minions like that, but anything that has 4 attack or higher is basically undefeatable, except if you have something like that can be Shadow Word Deft. But I mean, you can Shadow Word Deft 2 of those, then there's still 5 of them fucking remaining. So this deck really isn't set up to deal with the Quest Rogue. But that being said, I did do very poorly against this Quest Rogue. Usually I am able to beat Quest Rogues if I get the correct cards. In this game I certainly did not get the correct cards, since I skipped turn 2 and I skipped turn 3, and then I think turn 5, was it turn 5? I had my hand vanished, so I didn't do anything that turn either. So I really gave this guy more than enough time in order to get the quest completed early, and as I said, I don't think his deck is set up efficiently or optimally, simply because I personally wouldn't run stuff like Wisp and Firefly. I would much rather go for the charging minions, like that charging pirate and stuff like that. So yeah, overall pretty good match, and I just managed to eke out the win, even though I did have a little bit of extra damage in the form of the Holy Nova to get that little extra damage at the end perhaps, but I just managed to kill him down with my last guy. So yeah guys, that's pretty much it for today. I think I just basically wanted to play 5 or so games. I think I played 5 and lost 1, or played 6 and lost 1, not certain. Either way, this deck that I created, like honestly maybe 2 months ago, is still pretty good. It's still keeping up, and there's really not anything else that I would want to put into the deck. There are some other dragons, like if you are of the opinion that you want a later game deck, like for more later game, then you can put in Ysera. Ysera is certainly good, and you would remove something like Bookworm perhaps, because you can't remove an early game card for a late game card, since the deck is already pretty late game. It's already a pretty slow, pretty late game deck. So if you remove a quick card and put in something like a turn 9 Ysera card, then you're making the mana curve even higher, which makes the deck much slower. So at the moment I think the deck is quick enough to deal with the early aggression that some decks have, like Rush Hunter, Rush Warlock, Rush Rogue, anything like that, and it is able to outvalue just about any fucking thing out there. I mean, I came very close to beating Reno Warlock in this video, and Reno Warlock is pretty much like one of the highest value decks out there, with the Brann Bronzebeard Kazakus combo and stuff like that. So this deck is able to keep off decks like the Rush Rogue, aka the Quest Rogue, Hunters like Rush Hunters, Rush Warlocks. They are able to keep off decks like that, and they are able to outvalue stuff like Reno Mage, Reno Warlock, Quest Mage. We also fought one Quest Mage in this video. So yeah, they really, this deck really is a best of both worlds. You can rush your opponent down pretty quickly, and you can also stave off a rush, and you can also outvalue your opponent with quite a bit of value by getting stuff like Brann Bronzebeard and double Nether Spite Historian, or Brann Bronzebeard and double Drakonid Operative. That's extremely good, especially if you can get a Drakonid Operative from your Nether Spite Historian, since that gives you the Nether Spite, that gives you the Drakonid Operative, which you can then play to get another card from your opponent's deck. So as soon as you get Drakonid Operative from a Nether Spite Historian, then you get 2 extra cards essentially. And I have had games previously where at the end of the game I've played 7 Drakonid Operatives. So you play a Nether Spite Historian, you get a Drakonid Operative, then you get another Drakonid Operative, you play your 2 Drakonid Operatives, and then especially if you're going up against a Dragon Priest, then you play Drakonid Operative and you steal your opponent's Drakonid Operatives. That's just fucking crazy. You're constantly throwing out 5 mana 5/6s that give you another 5 mana 5/6. That's like the Firefly card that we played against. That's like playing a 1 mana cost for 1/2. That gives you another 1/2 for 1 mana cost, except it's a fucking 5 mana cost that gives you a 5/6 and another 5/6. I mean, it's fucking hilarious sometimes, especially if you're going up against the Dragon Priest or anything like that. So yeah guys, that's pretty much it. Over the next week few weeks or so, I will do my usual thing. Will put in a few cards, remove a few, and I like just tinkering with decks like that, just seeing if there's anything that I can perhaps do differently. But honestly, right now this is the most perfect Dragon Priest that I can think of. So yeah guys, that's pretty much it. Thanks a lot for watching, and as always, if you look in the description below, there is a playlist with all of my previous gameplay of just normal Hearthstone games, and there's honestly over, I would probably guess, over 300 hours of gameplay or Hearthstone gameplay in total. So honestly, fill your boots, just go there, and there's 300 hours of gameplay if you like my gameplay, since I'm quite busy recently, so I haven't been able to do these videos as much as I want, but there's really nothing wrong with going back and watching some of my previous videos. So yeah guys, thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you next time.